Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our closing session of the 2026 Prince Maidon Award Conference. Over the past 3 days, we've explored demographic transition, equity-centered approaches, and critical intersection of health policy and social protection. We've heard from brilliant minds, passionate advocates, and communities whose voices remind us why this work matters. It's now my pleasure to invite our session moderator, Dr. เฉลิมพล แจ่มจันทร์ Director of Institute for Population and Social Research, Mahidol University, to present the synthesis of our conference, capturing key themes, insights, and conversations that have emerged over the past 3 days. Dr. เฉลิมพล, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, the MC, and good morning, all the participants. I hope that everyone has been happy and truly enjoy the presentation, the discussion, as well as our activity, including the side meeting and special session throughout the PMAC 2026 over the past week. So for this session, it is the final sessions of the conference, which we will present the synthesis presentations of the PMAC 2026 under the theme Navigating Global Demographic Transitions to Innovative Policy and Equity-Centered Approach. And this presentation is the outcome of the synthesis based on the summary reports from our sessions prepared by our intergenerational rapporteur team. Allow me to introduce the 4 members of the lead rapporteur team who are here with us today. So let me begin with the lady first, which I also would like to invite you to the stage. The first one, Akosua Akshiamang, the senior lecturer from Department of Social Work, Center for Aging Study, University of Ghana, Lagos. Please join me to welcome her on the stage also. Thank you. And next one, Ritu Sadana, who is the head of the WHO Secretariat for the UN Decade of Healthy Aging from World Health Organization, Switzerland. And the third person, representing the younger generation within the lead rapporteur team, Mr. P. Tanghilanyathorn, a second-year medical student from the Faculty of Medicine, Chulalongkorn University. And the last one, last but not least, is going to be myself, เฉลิมพล from APSR Mahidol University. So for the presentation structure, we have organized it into 5 main parts, which the first part will be delivered by Mr. P, who is going to present the administrative content, summarizing key information related to the PMAC 2026, including overall conference outcomes and basic information about the conference participants' characteristics, including gender, type of organization, and the distribution by country and regions. The next part will cover the first 2 sections of the technical contents of the session synthesis, which will be presented by Akosua. The first technical section will summarize the key facts that were frequently addressed and strongly emphasized throughout the conference. Some of these are presented as surprising facts, while others are alarming facts that we need to carefully consider when analyzing the situation, its implication, its impact, and the innovative policy required to address the demographic transition. The second section of the synthesis sessions will focus on the implication and consequences of these facts across multiple dimensions, including the health system, as well as economic and social dimensions, such as social welfare and social protection, and also broader humanitarian and planetary risk considerations. Then we're going to move to the third technical sections, which will be presented by Ritu Sadana, who is going to summarize the key existing policy, including positive experiences and important action-oriented examples that were learned from the presentation and discussion across all sessions during the conference. In addition to highlighting good policy and positive experience, this section will also summarize the key gaps that were discussed during the conference. So for the final technical sections, which will be presented by myself, this will provide a synthesis of suggested solutions and recommendations. So let I invite Mr. P to start the first main part of our presentation. So over to you, Mr. P.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chalompon. Dear honorable panelists, speakers, audiences, youth, elders, and everyone, it is within my absolute honor to assist the lead rapporteur team in a synthesis of substantials across the three sub-themes under demographic transitioning. As a small recap, the Prince Mahidol Award Conference of 2026 is hosted with a purpose for all involved stakeholders to discuss and share experiences on the global demographic transitioning with an equity-centered approach. We have seen discussions and examples on social, economic, and health policies to tackle the issue of simultaneous increases in elder populations through the lenses of individuals, families, and communities under Sub-Theme 1. Building further in Sub-Theme 2, we've discussed the challenges to health system and policy responses to demographic transition. We explored how multi-sectoral, community-based approaches can strengthen long-term care, and how different contexts shape policy choices while still prioritizing the same core principle, people-centered care. Upscaling to the big picture in Sub-Theme 3, we're exposed to the interconnected nature of geopolitical conflicts, threats, disruptions that arrives in the form of global polycrisis as demographic transitioning continues. All the aforementioned themes were constantly highlighted throughout the Prince Mahidol Award Conference 2026 through a series of 55 side meetings, 4 plenary sessions, 15 parallel sessions, 3 field visit sites, 6 special events, 47 poster presentations, and an art contest with a theme of Eco Dreams, Shared Futures. Before proceeding with this session synthesis, I would like to acknowledge and recognize the importance of having the Prince Mahidol Award Conference. In accordance with what I have learned from repertorying, the Prince Mahidol Award Conference provides a place where space and shared values can intersect with one another, but to create an effective place where future directions can be determined will only be fulfilled when we put and invest in people to have expected behaviors and experiences, which is why this year's Prince Mahidol Award Conference would not be possible without the collaborations of participants and speakers from around the world. With that said, I would like to take a brief moment for all of us to go through and appreciate the diversity of participants' characteristics. In combination of side meetings and the main conference, we have over 2,500 participants, with more than 1,300 coming from the main conference. Looking into the breakdown of main conference participants, 91.7% are participants and 8.3% are speakers. When considering representatives of our participants by gender, 51.1% are female, 46.5% are male, and 2.3% are others. And since our focus is on demographic transitioning, it would be very intriguing for all of us to look into our participants by age interval as well. Out of the 1,365 participants, 4.5% are 18 to 24 years old, 27.4% are 25 to 39 years old, and nearly half are 40 to 59 years old. Moreover, 11.9% are 60 to 69 years old, and 4.2% are 70 years old and above. How about the region of residence? As shown on the screen, more than half of our participants are from Southeast Asia at 52.9%, followed by 30.9% from Western Pacific, 6.8% from Europe, 6.2% from Americas, 27 individuals from Africa, and 17 individuals from Eastern Mediterranean. When considering the organization type, we can see that our population is predominated by academia at 33%, followed by 20.7% coming from the public sector, 15.5% from the NGO or the CSO, and 11.3% coming from bilateral, multilateral, and international agency. In addition, 94 of our participants represent the UN agency, 66 individuals coming from the private sector, 16 with professional associations, and the remaining 94 being identified as others. Moving to a smaller population of 113 speakers, 48.7% is female and 51.3% is male. When examining our speakers' population by region of residence, slightly over 1/3 of the population are from Western Pacific at 34.5%, followed by 23.9% from Southeast Asia, 14.2% each from Americas and Europe, 11 speakers from Africa, and 4 speakers from Eastern Mediterranean. Last but not least, looking into the representatives of speakers by organization type, our speakers population is also majorly consisted of academia and research institute at 32.7%, followed by 27.4% from NGO and CSO, 11.5% from the UN agency, 9.7% from bilateral, multilateral, and international agencies, an equal number of speakers from each public and private sectors at 10 each, and 1 speaker from professional association, and the remaining 4 speakers represented others. And with that concludes the administrative information and the overview of the PMAC conference in 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. P. So let us move to the session synthesis presentation, which we're going to start with the Akosua. So please, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. All protocols observed. The facts. The conference came up with some facts that we need to share with you. And after we have put everything together, we realize that the population growth is slowing. Global population peaks by 2064, which is 9.5 billion, down to 8.6 billion in 2000. All regions will experience population decline except for sub-Saharan Africa, which is 37% share of global population, despite having fragile healthcare systems and infrastructure. And almost 200 countries and territories will have total fertility rate of less than 2.1 in 2100. In terms of epidemiological transitions, the world in 2100 will increase life expectancy. 80% of global DALY will be dominated by non-communicable diseases, cancer, and then non-infectious disease conditions. And the table shows what we are talking about. Countries are also growing old before growing rich. And the pace of aging is rapid in many countries in Asian and Pacific regions, and at a much earlier stage of development, giving them limited time and opportunity to adjust to the needs of an aged society. Example, universal health coverage and social systems. The conference also made us to realize that there's also a reality of informal care work. And the ILO estimates that women undertake over 75% of unpaid care work globally. Over 60% of people are employed informally without benefits or social protection. And unpaid informal care in Europe provides around 80% of all long-term care, with even higher reliance on informal care in countries with weaker long-term care systems. In terms of the geopolitics, armed conflicts, planetary health crisis, etc., all these exacerbate issues from the unprepared policy responses to demographic transitions. And so if you look at the table before you, you realize that humanitarian impact of extreme flooding across Asia has caused a lot of people being displaced from their comfort zones. And 216 million people could be forced to move within their countries due to climate-related impacts by 2050. Now, the implications. The structural stress on health systems. Demographic and epidemiological transitions are occurring simultaneously, leading to longer lives with higher disability burdens, driven mainly by non-communicable diseases and chronic conditions. Population aging is also increasing. The demand for health services, long-term, integrated, and then community and home-based care, age-based discrimination also hinders access to services. Climate shocks and conflict further destabilizes service delivery by damaging health facilities, transport networks, and supply chains, especially in low, medium income countries, hosting the majority of displaced populations. There's also the deepening inequities in health and social protection that came out of the conference. Vulnerable groups among children, women, migrants, older people, and displaced populations are disproportionately affected by demographic and epidemiological transitions and crises. Demographic transitions, particularly migration, widen existing economic gaps, especially in fragile labor markets with limited fiscal space. Concentration on health, medical, and services in urban areas exacerbated by growing urbanization and migration, increasing urban-rural inequities. Again, the third implication was the intensifying pressure on labor market. There was low fertility resulting in population decline, which puts pressure on the labor market if there's no in-migration and mortality rates are high. Population aging also raises long-term care demand with health and care workers retiring, migrating, or exiting the labor force, intensifying workforce shortages. There was also global recruitment by high-income countries, accelerates worker migration from low and medium-income countries, weakening fragile systems and raising ethical concerns. When former systems fail to adapt, care burdens shift to households, especially women and the sandwich generation, reinforcing gender inequalities, gender equities, and caregiving burnout. Implication 4 was challenges in fiscal sustainability. There was demand for health services and social protection outstrips fiscal capacities, especially when a whole government approach is not taken. Fewer workers and more older people are increasing pressure on public finances and social protection systems. Payroll and labor-based financing systems are becoming harder to sustain as the workforce shrinks. And tap policy adaptation, giving longer lives, means lost productivity and slower economic growth, further limiting future resources. And there's also fragmented pools and social contributions risk, regressive financing, higher out-of-pocket payments, and increased catastrophic health expenditure. And so I end there and we move on to the existing policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Coach Rose. So we have gone through the 2 sections of the session synthesis, which is the facts, which, as I already mentioned, some are quite surprising, some can be alarming facts that we need to consider. And the second section on the implications from what we have heard and discussed during the conference in multiple dimensions. So now let's move to the third one, existing policy. Ritu, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Truly, the existing policies, we will go through a range of multi-sector, whole-of-society potential approaches. Starting with the health and care systems, It was noted that WHO's Integrated Care for Older Persons and Older People, ICOP, can support care in communities and primary care with adaptation needed to the local context. However, there's uneven uptake across countries, and this needs to be accelerated and scaled up. There's also a global framework for long-term care needs. However, this needs to be applied and implemented. There's also a UHC package of long-term care interventions, proposed services. It exists, yet needs implementation. The UN Decade for Healthy Aging, we are at the midpoint. There is uneven progress in terms of policy and implementation, particularly in low and middle income countries that are lagging behind on core indicators for implementation and particularly allocation of resources. This includes particularly long-term care, where we see key gaps are needed to be addressed, strengthening community-based systems and training and funding support to caregivers. Also, palliative care has yet to be scaled up and integrated within long-term care, and a key aspect is to improve access to opioids. Quality standards for age-friendly primary health care and long-term care need to be developed and implemented. Moving to another sector on workforce and labor, the global WHO Code of Practice on International Recruitment of Health Personnel moderates appropriate and ethical recruitment. The code is considered still relevant and effective. It should really support not active recruitment of health workforce from countries under WHO workforce support and safeguard list with low workforce density, less than 49 doctors, nurses, midwives per 10,000 population, and also those with low UHC service coverage. There's uneven progress in training, upskill, allocation, and retention of health and care workforce, with the need to strengthen community health workers and support unpaid caregivers, a theme throughout the conference. There's an opportunity, though, to create jobs and develop a silver economy, as well as to align education, labor, and migration policies to meet care workforce needs. In relation to social protection and income security, some key points include a policy gap on integrating health and social protection systems, inadequate tax base and payroll tax-based pension for older people, and limited universal pension and social protection that need to be scaled up. Of course, the sessions provided much more detail in each of these areas. There's also gaps in social assistance and caregiver support schemes, limited recognition and support to informal carers, and a lack of life course approach that connects early child development, working age policies, and healthy aging that clearly recognize that people of all ages live and work together. Looking at housing, transport, and urban development, there appears to be uneven progress in age-friendly and inclusive communities, particularly in low and middle-income countries, in relation to accessible housing, transport, universal design, and public spaces. The field visit to outside of Bangkok, however, did show a very clear example of universal design and building of homes for older persons. So when we say uneven progress, we need to be really clear where there is progress as well. Overall, the synthesis notes that there is a lack of progress in prevention of social isolation and support participation through safe and connected environments. In relation to good examples, for example, integrated care, discussions on the Singapore Healthier SG relating to homes, Japan's home-based care, Sri Lanka adopting ICOP, the Integrated Care for Older Persons, and in Africa, examples of community health workers. These community-based systems, including community health workers, community clinics, home visits, and brain circulation was discussed in detail yesterday. This includes a range of things. However, palliative care has yet to be initiated and scaled up. In Japan, home medical care is an entry point of home-based palliative care in an effort to replace deaths in the hospital. During the conference, several cross-ministerial collaborations were highlighted. Just one in this slide from Malaysia, where ministries of health, finance, human resources, women, and social development synergistically respond to the national aging agenda. Finally, in terms of use of digital health, telemedicine, AI, and smart monitoring, there were examples throughout the conference. Here are just a few. South Korea AI social robot, with sensors for 24/7 emotional companionship, as well as health monitoring of older people living alone, AI early warning for extreme weather, air pollution, and disease outbreaks. In digital health, examples of telehealth, robotic workforces for disasters, and in Singapore, how AI approaches detect early cognitive impairment using a 5-minute self-administered digital drawing test that has high accuracy and is not dependent on language or literacy. These sorts of examples should be scaled up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ritu. So we have gone through the existing implementations, both good achievement and still some gaps. So now we move to the last sections, which are quite also important in terms of the synthesis on the recommendation. So based on the synthesis across all sessions, several clear messages has emerged. So let us start with the first slide, this one, overarching or cross-cutting recommendations. So first, improving life expectancy, especially healthy life expectancy, is a more effective response to population decline, relying mainly on only pro-natalist policy. That's the first point. And at the same time, the combined demographic and epidemiological transitions require comprehensive, timely, and coordinated multi-sectoral responses using a whole of government and whole of society approach, particularly in the context of multiple overlapping crises. Increasing health life expectancies means not only adding years to life, but also adding life to years. This requires strong action on non-communicable disease, addressing commercial determinant of health, and promoting healthy aging across the life course. Most importantly, our policy must be guided by equity-focused and people-centered approach. So let's start the next one with the individual level. In this conference, we have highlighted the importance of strengthening financial literacy, especially for retirement planning in the context of longer life expectancy and uncertain pension adequacy. Individuals also need to build digital and AI skills to better access health and social services, remain economically active, and avoid digital exclusion as systems increasingly move online. And in addition, active engagement in community and intergenerational spaces was emphasized as a way to strengthen social cohesion and informal support network under growing demographic and geopolitical pressures. At the community levels and civil society, the recommendation focus on expanding community-based, home-based, and long-term care services, including palliative care, There is also a strong call to formalize caregiving roles, including the role of community volunteers, in order to address growing care gaps caused by aging, migrations, and also shrinking family size. In parallel, communities are encouraged to create everyday spaces and institutions that support meaningful intergenerational interaction, moving beyond symbolic engagement toward practical social integrations. And for academia, the recommendation emphasize a stronger role in strategic health workforce planning, including the use of predictive analytics and unified workforce registries that anticipate demographic and epidemiological shifts. Education and training system also need to be reformed to align competencies with emerging needs such as chronic care, multi-morbidity, palliative care, community-based care, and also long-term care. In addition, academia is encouraged to generate stronger scientific evidence using both global and local data sets to support more equitable planning and policy design. And at the government levels, as the role of the government, a major recommendation is to reorient health system away from hospital-centric, labor-dependent, and reactive models toward the system that prioritize prevention, continuity of care, and also resilience. Governments are also encouraged to implement health workforce reforms, including re-engaging retired professionals, creating flexible re-entry pathways, strengthening caregiver support system, and improving workforce retentions. Health financing reforms are also equally critical, including diversifying revenue sources beyond labor-based contributions, strengthening pooling mechanisms, reducing low-value care and waste, and better aligning health and long-term care financing. In addition, the government should strengthen financial protection by reducing excessive co-payments and providing exemption for essential services, especially for older persons. Purchasing systems should shift toward branded payment model that support integrated and people-centered care. Social welfare and social protection system also need to be strengthened, including universal old age pensions, minimum contributory pensions, progressive pension formulas, and formal recognitions of both paid and unpaid caregivers. Finally, the government are encouraged to invest in age-friendly environments and infrastructure that support mobility, safety, social participation, and aging in place. So for the recommendation to international organizations, the conference strongly emphasized positioning healthy aging as a core development and equity agenda, rather than treating it as a niche health issue. There is a clear call to accelerate implementations of the UN Decade of Healthy Aging with greater focus on scale, financing, and measurable impact. Speakers and participants also highlighted the importance of advancing a legally binding UN instrument on the rights of older persons, better alignment of global financings and technical assistance, and stronger support for countries to normative guidance, standard, data system, and implementation learning. One of the good example implementation that we have discussed is the establishment of the UHC Knowledge Hub, which is supported by the WHO and the World Bank to be the platform to support national policy makers from the low and middle income countries to the capacity building and knowledge sharing. So finally, for the private sector and social enterprise, the recommendation focus on supporting the development of affordable and cost-effective digital health solutions, assistive technologies, and care-enabling innovation that align with integrated people-centered care models. The private sector also had an important role in creating age-friendly labor markets and workplaces that support extended working life and productive aging. So together, these recommendations reflect a shared understanding that responding to demographic structural change requires coordinated action across all levels of the society, strong partnership, and sustained political and financial commitment. I think that concludes all the synthesis sessions that we have done by the laboratory team, which I would like to mention one thing, that all the information and the key message that we have presented, as well as the recommendations, implications, all of this has been done through the collective efforts of the working group and the laboratory team, which I just would like to reflect that they work extremely hard to synthesize the key message and the discussion outcome from each meeting within a very limited time frames. Thank you. I think that we conclude our presentation, but somehow the laboratory teams, I think maybe this one can be at the end or the closing right now. Okay, just to briefly introduce, as I already mentioned, that this is my first time to have a chance. It is my honor as well to have a chance to join and work at the laboratory team. And it's very amazing because everyone worked really hard and very, diligent, and at the same time, very smart in many ways, learn a lot. So here is the faces of our lead laboratory team, including 4 of us here on the stage. But everything cannot be come true, and all the message cannot be presented in a beautiful way like this without the leadership from Dr. Wilod Tangcharan Sathian, who is the lead laboratory team. So if you don't mind, please give the big round of applause to Dr. Wilod as well. And also we have the technical content coaches, including the first one, which I would like also to announce. The first one, Dr. Bawon Som, Lila Pan. I'm not sure if he's in this room, but please join me to thank. He's over there. If you don't mind, when I mention your name, please stand up. Thank you very much. And second one is myself. And the third one, thank you. Okay, I stand up. I'm so sorry, I'm quite excited somehow, just to let you know. And the third one, we have Tuba. I'm not sure Tuba is with us. Yes, she's over there on the right of your side. Thank you very much. And we have Dr. Thanasak Thambantu, Dr. Peck, Ajahn Peck. I see it's over there in the back on the right-hand side. And the last one, Dr. Lapi Pong Supan Chaimat. I try to find him. He may be somewhere in this meeting. Okay, and the names of the laboratory coordinators. The first one, Kun Angkana Lekhakun. Okay, and Divya Lakotia. These teams, they are very amazing. They start working from last night up to the morning. It feels so inspiring and amazing to me. And Kun Jinnapat Suwanna Katka. If you are here, please stand up so that I can see you. Okay, over there. Okay, Kap. And Kun Jintana Chan Khot Keo. Okay, I think it's better for me to pronounce just the name. And Kun Kulaya. Next one. Okay, next one is Kun Natcha. And Kun Nisa Chon. Tashi. Okay, and the last one, last but not least, Kun Walanan. As a team of laboratory coordinators. And the last group, which I think quite the most important ones, because we have a very strong team of laboratory teams, totally 76 laboratory team from 26 organizations. They are the session laboratories comprising of, this is amazing that we have 42 Thai medical students with us, joining us at the laboratory sessions. Please stand up and show yourself so that we know who's are in the laboratory team นะครับ as the medical student, and also we have 34 professionals from 8 countries นะครับ so all the session laboratory please stand up and thanks so much for make this happen and to get the synthesis presentation done beautifully. Thank you very much, Kap. I think that's all to conclude the synthesis presentation that we have, and also acknowledging the hard work of the laboratory teams. For the laboratory team, I think we prepare interactive activity for all the participants here. So please join us to do a kind of quick survey. If you don't mind, please bring up your mobile phone. We're going to start some quick survey using the Mentimeters. So please use your mobile phone to scan the QR code on the screen. So now we have 100 and maybe we can wait for some few seconds. Okay, 140, 50, 60. I will wait until the numbers are saturated and then we will start the first question. 188, 89. Okay, so now we got 200 participants already. So I think we can start the first questions. Let's move to the first question. So first easy question is, how is your vibe this morning? We would like to get reflection from you, whether you are the sleepy cat or a kind of exciting horse. I'm not so sure if I interpret correctly, but it's like exciting horse. And the third one is like surprising cocoon, maybe surprising with the synthesis that we just present. And the last one is like, I'm not sure, no feeling or no comment, something like that. So select one. Wow, it's quite surprising that the last one seemed to be the highest. I think the last one is alpaca, right? Maybe feeling, no feeling. It's going to be more excitement, during the Q&A sessions after this one somehow. Okay, I think the first one still the alpaca, followed by the sleepy cat and the horse. Okay, maybe we can move to the second question. So given your understanding of demographic shift, how hopeful do you feel about the future? It's not only about this session, but throughout the conference that you attended, the side meeting, as well the field trip, the special session, and also all the panelist sessions and the parallel sessions. The left-hand side will be extremely hopeless and the right-hand side extremely hopeful. Now we got average at 6.5, so it passed, not fail. Somehow we have some hope about the future. So it's 6.5. I think we got nearly all response from the participants. So let's move to the next one. This one is quite interesting. We would like to know that at what age, in your opinion, at what age do you consider someone is old? It's a kind of perceptions towards being old, towards being aged. We see from the word crowd that the maybe highest frequency goes to 70, 80, and also 75. It's good. We have one answer about age. It's just a number. And it depends. It's true. Never. Yes, never beat age. Ageless. No, not ageless. Okay, ageless. Yes, it's just a number. Always young at heart. Loss of independency. Okay. No Trump. It's related, right? When no more projects. This is quite relevant to what I'm feeling now. I see. Even 100. I think the highest one is about 70, 80, 60, 65. And also it's just a number. And also just a social construct. That's interesting. Okay, I think we got all the response. Let's move to the next one. We have just 6 questions, so we move to the 5th one. Okay, how would you describe yourself today? We have 4 choices. You are still young. Second one, young at heart. It's a kind of feeling. Maybe you're not young, but young at heart. And the old soul. This one is quite hard. I mean, difficult for me to understand the old soul. And the last one, describe yourself as the old. As the old. I think the highest response is young at heart. Everyone in this room, maybe more than, but now it's about 50% of people in this room, we feel young at heart. And we have 51 of us who are still young. That is quite true. As I mentioned to you, we have many young medical students, young scholars here, including P with us here on the stage. We just would like to represent a kind of intergenerational and also gender balance of the lead rapporteur on the stage. Okay, so the highest is young at heart. So maybe we can move to the last questions. Hope that our question, the last one, not too serious or not too difficult, that should the low and middle income countries extend mandatory retirement age, for example, from 60 to 65 in the public services. We might use the term like, for example, because in some country, the retirement age is even lower than 60. But the key question, we would like to hear from you whether you think that for the context of LMIC country, we should think about extending the retirement age to be at the higher age. Well, it's quite clear that the answer that get highest response is depending on the health status, depending on the job profiles, and maybe the most important one also on the personal choices. Let's see. Okay, I think just to get the interaction from all the participants, the questions not so serious, at the same time not so funny, but I hope it wake you up a bit, because I remember from the first question, I mean, the no feeling alpaca seemed to get the highest response. The last one, I forgot this one. After this PMAC, sorry for that. Who are you teaming up with? After all the discussion, after all the presentation, and also after the synthesis presentation, who are you teaming up with? This is the open-end questions. Please feel free to enter questions, whatever. Again, no Trump. I see, because it's quite a big one. Sorry. I just read the answer. Community, good. The government. What this one? P? P is you, right? Okay, that's good. Interesting this one because I remember the previous question I was so P. I just wonder what does this mean. Okay, now I got it. Okay, it seems to be government, community, and also HPP I see here, and PMAC as well. Everyone, we also have answer in Thai. Interesting. Everyone and okay, PMAX. Thank you very much. I think this answer is reflecting very interesting point of view from all the participants. And I think that's all for the interactive questions. We would like to hear from you and share, the perception and feeling with you. So let's end these sessions and go to another most important session. We're gonna open the floor for questions and maybe to get response and answer from the lead laboratory teams here and also maybe from the lead laboratory team not on the stage. Okay, so let's open for the questions and Q&A sessions. For those, some of you who would like to maybe raise some questions or providing some reflections or any additional point of view that you might want to add into the synthesis presentation that we already presented, please feel free to go to the microphone and briefly introduce yourself before giving the questions or any comments. This is quite surprising for me. I haven't seen anyone raise the hand yet. Anyone would like to raise the question? Any discussion point? Any reflection, any additional recommendations, or whatever about the questions that we just gone through the Mentimeter, if you would like to share. It's quite quiet now. What should we do? I'm kidding.
The synthesis focused on the main conference with the rapporteur team really synthesizing the key issues. We just had the opportunity to be the messenger. There were also side events and all the different conversations people had. So maybe there's even from those some snippets of richness that you want to share.
Please feel free to share. Yes, please briefly introduce yourself.
Good morning, Taran Weeramanthri from Australia. This is my first PMAC conference and I'm excited to be here. I was just struck when I saw the title, I thought demography might be a little bit dry, but this has been the most dynamic conference in terms of the content and the links between demography, epidemiology, public health. I've just had so many wonderful kind of connections made in my own mind, but also the way the conference has gone has been so dynamic, including this last session in terms of the rapporteurs, the team. I'm used to conferences with one rapporteur or two, but to have this kind of approach really is groundbreaking. So my question is, you've made us all more optimistic as a result of attending this conference. So how do we keep that optimism going when we get back to our daily lives? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the reflections to the conference. So please, maybe we collect the questions first and then we ask our colleagues to provide a response. Please.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Tawfiq Juardar. I'm from Bangladesh and currently working at Singh Health Duke NUS Global Health Institute in Singapore. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the organizers for organizing such a nice, good event with a lot of learning opportunities. My question is a question, or it could be actually a reflection, perhaps, that I mean, I did not hear or notice any discussion on the impact of social media on older generation. You know, we see a lot of research on how social media affects the younger children, kids, adolescents, and so on and so forth. But speaking from my experience with my parents, my dad, who is 75 years old, who just few years ago could not use his mobile phone properly, now he spends most of his time lying down and watching YouTube and listening to different things. And it not only exposes them to the social issues that he is not really capable of handling well, it also makes him less mobile as a result, makes him more vulnerable to non-communicable diseases and so on and so forth. But I don't see a lot of discussion around the effect of social media on the older people. So I felt that this is kind of an issue that was not adequately discussed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let the lady behind, please.
Okay, thank you. So yesterday I got the opportunity to speak on one of the parallel session, and it was quite intimidating because all of the speakers are seniors, and I think it shows how we should have more young people on international conferences like this, because from other session that I attend, I see how young people can they can bring grassroots initiatives to the panel, and then bringing dynamic conversations to the table. And and also, so I'm from Indonesia, and my country is currently transitioning to an aging population. So I think on conferences about demographic transition, we should also talk about how there are also countries that are still facing the youth bulge. So we should also have more conversations on how we can provide a supportive environment for young people to have a supporting environment to live their life, and also be able to live better in life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me collect the fourth maybe questions from the lady in the middle, and after that I will give the floor to the panelists to provide this response here. Please, Cap.
Hello, I'm Nishnipa Thawanpusit. I'm actually a medical student from Thailand, Siraj Hospital. So first of all, I would like to give my attitudes on the conference. This conference have been a really good place for us all to kind of discuss around both equity, fiscal sustainability, and politics and stuff like that. And even education. And I think that should be more discussed in the conference like this. But I have a little questions because from the synthesis, I haven't really seen like the topics about climate-driven or climate-induced migration or inequity around that aspects. And even the gender-based bias or even inequity that can kind of shape how we work in around the accessibility of the healthcare, and also it can affect how we kind of shape the health system in the future. So I just think that maybe we can kind of make a bigger picture to kind of include all of the sectors as the same picture and kind of include these kinds of pain points inside. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for both the reflection and the questions. So I would like our lead rapporteur team to provide a reflection, response that you might have. We have the questions about how to keep optimistic momentum back home, after the conference. And which on this point, Akosho or Ritu, if you want, please.
Thank you very much. I will take it from the point that the young lady raised about including young people when it comes to aging matters. I think it's very, very imperative to do that because the future belongs to the young, and old age, as I said yesterday, is young people's problem. Now, those that are already up there in terms of age, they are there. And that is why we are talking. What about those that are coming? And so if they are included in programs or forums like this, then they go through the training. They know what it is to be old, because a lot of people abuse the older persons because they themselves don't understand what the aging process is. They don't understand the issues of older persons. And the older persons themselves are not also aware of the aging process. So when something is happening to them, they think, oh, it's one of those. Let me go seek for medical attention and all that. But if these young ones are included, maybe through their curriculum that, in schools, they are prepared right from the beginning to educate them about the aging process and how we become older. Then they grow up with that. And so when they have the opportunity to be policy makers, they make the right decisions that affect older persons, because they themselves will see that they are also aging. And in some years to come, there will be the 70s, there will be the 75s, and so on and so forth. So I think that in the community level, at the national level, everywhere, we need to really involve young people in the aging issues as we are talking about, because they need those, at least not to even help someone, but their own old age. They can be informed about their own old age and then try to, policies, programs, everything that's just toward the older person, they can also contribute. Now, in the health sector, for example, in my country, we have a very big medical school, but there's nothing in their curriculum that centers on aging, or maybe the older person. And we don't have the geriatric centers like you have. And so the older person goes to the hospital, it's the same process. Queue for medical attention, and then the medical, model of healthcare is what is given to this older person. But when we have the geriatricians and, they have really majored in the area of old age, then they can contribute better and then also take good care of these older persons, so that the long-term care that we are talking about, people can really benefit and live longer, because we need them. We need to tap the experiences and the wisdom that they have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Akosho. So let's move to Ritu, please.
Perhaps just a couple of reflections. Clearly, this is a high-energy conference, and it's not just about the different ages, but the range of disciplines. We saw the sort of data on all the diversity of participants. I think this is a really important issue on how to keep that momentum going, how to keep that energy going. I think just about everyone who's been at the conference is a leader in their field, and ensuring that you have a community of practice, one that you may already belong to, or ones that you will be creating to continue to channel expertise, energy into the things you're interested in and where you want to see change. I think that's really important. Sometimes in even a big institution, you may not find the people who are thinking, not just thinking like you, but who have a similar goal, maybe thinking very differently. So do continue to build your networks, the formal, but also those informal ones that may become formal. Don't think it's already done. We have to keep renewing and refreshing. I think it's particularly challenging, though, in topics which require collaboration across disciplines. It's true that most of the funding schemes still look at specific topics, and the reward is looking at that detailed topic. Keep pushing for cross-sector, cross-disciplinary support. You may not be rewarded immediately, but the impact is going to be greater. So I think keep the energy, and it's up to you to make sure that you're able to fuel those networks that are around you.
Thank you. That's very good point. And we got also from Akosua and also from our young colleagues from Indonesia that address the importance of involvement more of the young people in especially international conference like this. May I invite P to give any response or reflection?
I think that the involvement of the young people with these kind of issues are quite critical. However, trying to come up with specific solutions or coming up with a kind of environment that can be used and support for not just youth for like, but for all the vulnerable groups. These are all technical stuff, and I think that with time, eventually we'll be able to figure these things out along the way. But the key thing that we need to be trying to utilize right now is trying to understand where each person are coming from. Trying to understand that different people will have different contexts. The way that they react, the way that they act will have different reasons. And I think I would like to share a quote that I've heard from a repertoire session that I have repertoire. It starts with me. And although this quote is quite self-centric, it starts with me in a sense that I need to understand that cultural perspective and cultural appreciation is just one level. We need to go beyond just being cultural aware to being cultural sensitive, to become cultural competent, and eventually having the cultural humility and promoting cultural safety. Only when all of us, not just youth, but all of the stakeholders who are involved in today's conference or who are involved in the issue of demographic transitions, only when we are able to accept those kinds of ideologies or frameworks, then we can work toward finding specific solutions. So that would be my answer.
Thank you very much. This is the first year that I have chance to join the repertoire team and had a chance to join the briefing, daily briefing sessions among all the repertoires. And it's very, impressive for me because as I mentioned to you, there are many young repertoire, and when they share their perspective, feedback from the sessions that they're attending, all very impressive and very amazing. And P, I think, is one of the example of the group of our repertoire teams. Because we are not in the same generation, and I feel like when I was the same age as you, I cannot do like you. For me, I would like to add just one point that to the gentleman who asked about the impact of social media. For me, I think that is very important. The social media can be one of the key players, especially when we talk about strengthening or making the environment become more friendly to the older person, and also to develop what we call enabling environment to support healthy aging and active aging. In many contexts, including Thailand, we face some constraints or some challenges in terms of what we call ageism in many aspects, in the social aspect, in the economic aspect, including, perspective toward whether the older person should be working or should maintaining in the workplace or not. So about ageism is about social psychosocial factor or the public psychosocial factor, which social medias can play a very good role in making, reconcepting or set the mind setting of people in the society. So I think this is very important and can be, how to say, should be discussed more as well. So let's open for the second round of the questions. Please come over there on the left-hand side.
Thank you very much. My name is Steve Tolman from South and Sub-Saharan Africa. I really hesitated to stand up. There has been so much to learn, and one has been impressed in so many ways that have been expressed so clearly, not least by the rapporteur team, all the way from Ghana through WHO, through Asia. But all of us must be leaving with some sense of puzzlement, because when Chris Murray presented the slide set, Sub-Saharan Africa looked pretty bad. If there was any country that was red all the time, it was most of Sub-Saharan Africa. One of my takeaways from this wonderful meeting and experience has been how general so many of the issues and problems are. They are not just Thai problems, or Chinese problems, or Japanese problems, or Korean problems, but they are also a lot of Sub-Saharan Africa's problems. And I think our respected colleague from Ghana spoke to that in responding to the issue of children and the reconciling of the youth and the elder and across that whole spectrum. So, in a way, speaking to that issue of positivity and optimism, and you won't be surprised that I responded on the Mentimeter to young at heart. It was tempting to say young, but young at heart seemed fairer. There are some foundations explicitly, other investors more implicitly, who want to make Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, at the center of their investments. But what I have learned from this meeting is how common the issues and problems are and how much we can learn. And speaking as a minority, going back to the slides as to who is here, quite understandable. It's to say that exchange is so enriching, we can learn so much, and it can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So please, Kun Langsan be in at the back.
Thank you so much. I speak for my aunt, who is from Prachinburi province. She's one of the village health volunteers in Thailand. And I think her story is similar to a lot of health volunteers or community health workers around the world. She's more than 50 years old. She's primary education. And she's also struggling with her own health issue, but at the same time, she's helping, the people in the village. I'm wondering how we can help these, foot soldier, thousands or millions in some country who make so much effort and contribution, especially during COVID-19 and so on, to keep the appropriate incentive for them. Second, how to help them help others better in terms of capacity building. They are older generation as well. The technology might not be easy for them. So I think this is just food for thought. I know that in the rapporteur summary, there is a formalization of these volunteers and so on. But I think it's also context specific. So I think I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kap, about the reflections and maybe sharings from your aunt as well. Do we have additional questions or reflections? Okay, sorry, please.
Hello. Um, I'm Prince Shakit, so I'm from the medical student year 4, IFMSC Thailand. So the past 2 years in this place, we talk about the geopolitics, and I believe the years is relevant to this years more than ever. The issue that was talked about 2 years ago, well, it was exacerbated, and today we do not, well, at least me, I do not see that it coming this way. Today, that the epidemiological shift, we see that the less tax and a lot of political views, they kind of like take the people who are marginalized, let's say that the aging population and the younger people out first. And today, political spectrum is more divided than ever. I want to ask that, do you have any suggestion that we do something about the politics will? Because a lot of things that we discussed today and a lot of conclusion needs a lot of political wills, but today we are more fragmented than ever in the international level and national levels.
Thank you very much for a very challenging questions. So I think now I back to the lead rapporteur. Maybe Akwoso, you would like to give any more additional Ritu?
I'm not sure I'm going to answer specific questions or the reflections, but I think part of what this conference tries to do, not just this year, but every year, is to look at an important megatrend and the implications for health. This year it happens to be demographic change, but I think listening to the questions, it clearly, I think, shows how these megatrends are connected in terms of the impact on people's lives and the types of actions that, that we can take, and to keep trying different approaches, evaluating them, and sharing the evidence. In terms of valuing people, I think we have so many different metrics to look at. An easy one is wage, which I think is not really in line with the actual value of a person. But if we look at time, how much time an individual spends on different activities, we all have 24 hours. We don't know when our 24 hours are going to end in terms of our life, our actual lifetime. But while we're alive, we each have 24 hours. And I was working with an economist from New Zealand, Marilyn Waring, who's really, among others, have been promoting that we use time use as a basis to value people. And I think for a lot of the concerns we have about caregivers to many other persons, when we can show to policymakers the time that people actually use and the benefits they bring, we see in a range of different countries that policymakers have made different choices to actually invest in those people. So it's just one example where we can make a difference and value people for what they actually do and the impact that they have.
Thank you very much. We have the last question, very challenging last question about geopolitics. How should we address that in our, discussion today on the synthesis? I'm not so sure, but may I invite Dr. Viroj, if you would like to have any feedbacks or response to the reflections or comments or any question from the floor, as the lead of the rapporteur team.
I might not be able to respond the geopolitics because last year we have extensive deliberation on this. We see rearm Europe, we see rearm Germany, or the public budget will go to the defense, increased defense in Japan, Russian Federation, and also Trump is going to bomb Iran, etc. UN just failed. Security Council. We have 5 veto countries and another 10 permanent members, so 15. SC just cannot do anything. So that is a given. Live with it. On process, I think the meaningful engagement of young people is important. What does it mean by meaningful? It's the sincerity and it's the intergeneration collaboration. For example, we have the wide range of rapporteur, both gender, female, male, range from year 1, year 2 medical student to a more experienced public health from Japan, from academia, international rapporteur team. As the gentleman from Austria have said, PMAC is a process of social movement. It's part of implicitly. We engage increasingly young people because they will be future public health leader anyway. With inspiration, Martha keynote inspire the world. On that day, we have allowed 2,000 participants when Her Royal Highness at the openings remark. Martha said strongly from her heart, not from her mouth. So that means inspiration also create a explicit leadership in the future. I think theme every year is a policy traces that we look at, but the whole process of involving IOC, you see the whole international organizing committee co-host fully engaged. And the rapporteur team, the lead rapporteur will range from Ghana to Bangkok and WHO Geneva. If you look at the participants from Africa, it's quite underrepresented. We talked to Precious Masoso that through her bridging role with the South African MRC and Kemri Welcome Trust should be the bridging, increasing representation from the Middle East and from Africa in the global health conversation in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kap. So do we have any additional reflection, questions, comments? Otherwise, I will officially close the sessions. But somehow, I think we still have time. Actually, I would like us to maybe express acknowledgement and gratitude again to the rapporteur team, all the session rapporteurs, and also rapporteur coordinators, and also the rapporteur here. So please join me to give a big round of applause again. And thank you very much for all your participation, the discussion, and allow me to close the sessions for the synthesis presentation. Thank you very much.